What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scotian Canadian channel. I'm honored to welcome Mr. Adam Denney to the channel here. He's been a longtime friend of mine since grade primary of elementary school. We've been big hockey fans ever since we were kids. And Adam is now a local hockey coach and ambassador for local sports around Halifax. And Adam, why don't you introduce yourself to my subscribers and let them know what you're doing, in our local community.
Well, thanks, man, for having me up. First of all, yeah, like you just said, I'm Adam Denney. I went to school with Matt, obviously, from grade primary to grade six, and we've been friends ever since. And we've actually been rivals ever since. So rivals in terms of the Habs and the Bruins, but we put that aside, and it's we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, exactly. So, who are you coaching for in the Halifax area, or who have you coached for?
I'm currently I'm coaching high school hockey. Well, not now, obviously, because high school's almost over, and I'm coaching high school hockey at Millwood High School in Sackville, and I've enjoyed that. We've um we've done quite well, actually, since I started coaching. We won one provincial championship
Yeah,
in
wow.
in 2011, 2012, and I was equipment manager there first, and then kind of got into the motivational stuff, and then now I'm working with the defense. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing, buddy. And you're an aspiring broadcaster as well, right? I know you did some broadcasting with your buddy John Sear, and you also have your own podcast where you interview local, sports people from our area. What's your podcast called, and where can people find it?
My podcast is called Beyond the Booth. It's a local podcast to well, it was just for the Nova Scotia Junior Hockey League, which is Junior B hockey here locally, and but now I'm expanding it to expose a lot of different sports like hockey, basketball. Like I'm I'm trying to expose the men's sports and women's sports because I find a lot of women's sports don't get the recognition that they deserve because there's a lot of great female athletes out there, but they just don't get the recognition they deserve. I don't find, so I'm trying to get that out there as well.
That's noble of you, buddy. That's really noble of you. And I notice on Twitter often you mention that you're against the word disabled, and you have a message when it comes to that.
Yeah, the word disability really is. I wouldn't say it's a bad word, but I would say it's a word that should be used less, I guess, because even sometimes when you go to, like, say, a local hockey game or a local sporting event before the national anthem, that the public address announcer will say, "Please rise if you're able to," uh, and and I was like,
Like it's like I guess they're trying to be more
yeah,
inclusive, but I mean, from your perspective, that's something you just don't
yeah,
really
it's
prefer, I guess.
uh,
And I think you mentioned you like the term different ability, right?
different ability, yeah,
Yeah.
different ability. It just sounds so much better.
Yeah, I think it does as well. And I think that's a really important message. I definitely do. So
Yeah,
why don't we get into the bread and butter here, buddy? We just had the Habs Leaf series, and I know you're obviously a Bruins fan. I'm looking at your gear there, and and we have a storied rivalry between Montreal and Boston. But we just saw Habs Leafs, and the Leafs are a team you're familiar with, and I know that you're a Brendan Gallagher fan on the side. I mean, it's hard not to like the guy, right?
hard not to like the guys. I honestly, a couple weeks, actually about 2 months ago, I actually learned he's Brendan Gallagher is actually the all-time leader for the Vancouver Giants in points. So
Impressive, hey?
yeah, I don't know exactly his numbers, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's the all-time leader now. So
Yeah, and he gets the game. He gets the first goal in Game 7 against the Leafs, with which the Habs eventually won. So that was pretty big. I'm sure you watched that game. What did you think of that series and how the Habs ended up coming out on top?
well, to be honest with you, when the Leafs went up 3 games to one, I was like, I personally thought to myself, in order for the Habs to win this series, it's going to have to be the Carey Price show. Because I'm not saying, Gallagher, Tatar, Deno, Petrie, and the Habs top line is like it's Gallagher, Deno, and Tatar, and I think it's Petrie and Weber on in the back end. Like, how can you not like that? But personally,
compared to the Leafs top six in firepower, I see what you mean, right?
yeah, but how compared to the Leafs, like you would have thought Montreal could have won that, or Montreal or Toronto should have won that game or that series easily in maybe 5.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But I think Montreal winning, I think shows, I think the culture that the Habs are building, and I know Sheldon or Brendan Shanahan in his little presser yesterday said the Leafs lack a killer instinct to close out a series. It's pretty clear that the Habs don't.
It's pretty clear. Yeah, let's just say it's the Habs were looking pretty good in Game 5, or Game 7, I must say, because I was I'm a Bruins fan, but I'm not anti-Habs. I'll put that down. I'll put that out on the table.
Oh, I definitely know you're not, because I gave you that Brendan Gallagher jersey because he's one of your favorite players, and I've seen you wear it a few times, and I'm pretty sure you wore it for Game 7.
I did, and I'll tell you the story of the goal, the Gallagher goal. My mom just got up. My mom just got up out of her seat. She was going to get a drink, and I was like, yeah, and Mom's like, Montreal scored, did they? I'm like, yep, and then I watched the replay, and I say, holy shit, it was Gallagher. She's like, Frig. She's like, Frig, really? I'm like, yeah, it was Gallagher. She's like, and you wore his jersey too. I'm like, oh my. I said, took the cake for me.
Well, I tell you right now, buddy, if Montreal happens to get to another Game 7, you better be wearing that jersey for our sake.
Unless they're playing my Bruins, I will wear it.
Okay, that sounds like a good deal, man. And wouldn't that be nice to see that series once again? Habs Bruins. We've had some really storied battles in the past, and lots of memories watching those ones.
Oh, tell me about it.
So why don't you, while we're on the subject, give us a little update on your Bruins? And I have a question to ask you specifically. So I know they're on a bit of a run here right now. They're in the second round against the Islanders, and we all know how good their first line is with Bergeron and Marchand, the buddy from Hammond's Plains here, and David Pastrnak. We know how good that line is.
Yeah.
But I'd love for you to tell me who's another player or two that are absolutely crucial to the Bruins right now.
Honestly, pick anybody in the top 2 lines.
Yep.
The top 2 forward lines. To be honest with you, I'm not getting cocky. I'm not getting anything. I'm just saying what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand on the first line. Then we can follow that up with Krejci, Hall, and Smith.
Yeah.
So, to me personally, that is a legitimate top 6.
Yeah, I like it, man. It looks good. That Taylor Hall pickup really helped.
It did, and when we picked up Taylor Hall, I think it was just before the trade deadline, like an hour before it, and I was pumped. I was like, we didn't really get anybody big in the trade deadline. I think the biggest thing for us in the trade was Taylor Hall, and I honestly think that this year I don't want to jinx it, or I don't want to put a curse on it, but I haven't felt this confident in a Bruins team since 2011.
Oh, here we go.
I like no.
Nah, I'm just teasing you. I don't blame you at all. They do look good, right? And
but the only team that scares me is Vegas.
What about Colorado with all those Nova Scotians?
A little bit.
Too young for you, or what?
A little too young right now. I think they're about a year or 2 away. They need to, like, I honestly think that I think Vegas has the older guys, the leadership they have, and they Vegas has Marc-Andre Fleury, former Cape Breton Screaming Eagles goaltender,
Yeah.
and another guy they have too is Jonathan Marchessault, a forward from played for the Quebec Grand Prix as well.
Yeah, yeah, and he's got he's quite the sniper, quite the goal scorer. But they're up against it against Colorado right now. They're down. They're down in the series, 0-2. So they got to come back against Colorado if they want to, keep their series alive here, keep their season alive. Do you think they can do it?
Yes, I'm gonna say Vegas in 6.
Vegas in 6. So they're gonna win the next. They're gonna win the next 4.
Okay, Vegas in 7. No, I'll say Vegas in 7 because Colorado probably win one more, and then
Vegas is gonna take it. Marc-Andre Fleury's gonna settle into the crease and shut it down, eh?
Shut it down, shut them out.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping for Colorado just because of all those Nova Scotian players. I mean, it's nice to see them go, right? But we'll have to wait and see because Vegas is a really strong team.
You want to believe it.
Yeah, and from what I've been told, I didn't get to check out the game last night because I was watching the Habs game and doing my reaction video. But apparently, Vegas outplayed Colorado quite heavily last night and just happened to lose in overtime. So, you never know with the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot. I think you're gonna see a lot of like, wow, did that really just happen in this playoffs? Like, and I really like the new format as well.
Yeah.
The new format's just amazing. Like, I wish they would keep. I wish they would keep it like this. Personally,
see the Canadian division again.
See the Canadian division, and I think Toronto and Montreal will probably always be the top 2. That doesn't. They've been the top 2 for what 50 years now. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see, but it's looking like they'll probably go back to the normal format next year, and we'll be back to the Atlantic where we'll be facing you guys, the Bruins, 6 times, and back to facing Tampa and all that stuff. That's going to be a tough division, eh? I think our division is becoming the hardest one in the whole NHL. I mean, you think Tampa, the Leafs, Habs, Boston, Ottawa's, trending upwards. Florida looked good this year, so I mean, we're up against it.
I think you're going to see Ottawa make some noise in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They just have so much young talent.
And not only that, you should see their farm team. Igor Sokolov, he played for Cape Breton. JC Baudin, he played for the Rwanda Huskies. Like, it's friggin' amazing.
Yeah. Pierre Dorian's doing a great job there with his scouting and their little reset or rebuild, whatever they're doing. They're doing a good job, I tell you.
And it's nothing like a trying either.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't we talk about the Habs Jets here? We saw game 1 last night. Habs end up winning it, take a series lead. I loved how the Habs played last night, but then at the end we saw Mark Scheifele absolutely crush Jake Evans. Did you see that hit? What were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was dirty.
Yeah.
I was like, but the thing that got me though was Mark Scheifele is a skilled player. He's probably one of the most skilled players in the entire National Hockey League.
Underrated skill, yeah, for sure.
In a sense, Bob McKenzie even said it kind of reminds me of Ryan Getzlaf in a way. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think you might have said it on Twitter at one point. He's highly skilled and has underrated skill, but to see him take a headshot or whatever he did last night that was so dirty to Jake Evans, like that's just wrong. I just seen on Twitter he got 5 games for him.
Yeah, he got 4 games.
4 games.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, that's quite the hefty suspension in the playoffs. I definitely think it was deserved. I mean, he charged from the other end of the ice and injured Jake. So he's out, and that's a big loss for the Jets for 4 straight games. They're going to have to really step it up here. Some of their depth centers, and hopefully Paul Stastny can get healthy, and Adam Lowry, and of course their new guy Pierre-Luc Dubois can really step up for them because Mark Scheifele is a big leader for them, big minute eater. So, who do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Who do you think's going to win the series, Habs or Jets? Now knowing that Scheifele's out, do you think the Habs have a chance here or what?
With Scheifele out, I'm gonna say Habs in 5.
Really? Oof. I think.
With
I think.
with Scheifele out, Habs in
Mhm.
5. Habs in 5.
Right.
And they'll probably end up playing Carolina in the semis.
Man, that'll be nice for me. I tell you that right now. Man,
And we'll get Tampa Bay.
that'll be a good series, eh? If you guys get through the Isles, man, that'd be nice. Could you imagine if we happen to see a Habs Bruins Cup final? Think of that. Somehow that worked out. Jeez.
I don't know. I don't know. You may not hear from me until after the series, but that's okay. No.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like Leafs fans. I'm not looking ahead, just for the record. I'm just, since we're chatting, I figured I'd bring it up. But for me, I'm just focused on the task at hand, and I hope the team is too, and we can have a good series here against the Jets.
Yeah, and I was saying this on my podcast there a couple of weeks ago. I said you really need that secondary scoring to get going and to get better. Like if you don't have secondary scoring,
Yeah,
you really have no chance.
yeah, it's absolutely crucial. The secondary scoring, and the goaltending, and
Yeah.
special teams. I think that's what does it, right? So yeah, it's so far so good for the Habs, but they got a lot of work to do. Before we close this out, buddy, can you let people know where to find you on Twitter? And again, just remind people where to find your podcast.
My podcast is actually on YouTube. You can just look up my name,
Yeah, Adam Denney or Beyond the Booth.
or you can look up Beyond the Booth, and you can find me on Twitter. It's at BTB, all caps with small letters, and Denney, capital D, rest of them small.
Right on, buddy. That's awesome. I'll put your links down in the description of this video here. And I really appreciate you coming onto my channel here to join me and talk some hockey. Is there anything else you wanna bring up here?
Well, we were talking about secondary scoring, and I just want to say that that's one thing that I'm really impressed with the Montreal Canadiens is their secondary scoring. Like when the Gallagher line's not performing, which isn't very often, but when they're not performing, you got Josh Anderson, you got Kasperi Kotkaniemi, which is probably one of my favorite players, or at least one of my favorite names to say in hockey league, because it's one of my favorite names to say in the entire National Hockey League. So, and like honestly, I think we're due for a Habs Bruins Stanley Cup run. I really do.
Right on. Well,
Because
fingers crossed.
we haven't had one since, what was it, 1970?
It was definitely in the late 70s. I'm sure I know who won that.
I think it was 77 or something. I think, or was it 86 when Montreal won? I think it was 86. Because yeah, then Edmonton went on that big run.
Yeah. Right on, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me, and we'll definitely have to do it again. I know I want to get you on a episode of Buzzed Up and Baked and get you actually in the studio here to sit down with me. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you having me, and being a Bruins fan, it was kind of, I was like, wow. So
I always got time for you, man.
thanks, man. Same to you. I'll